Hello, everyone. Hello, Maureen. We are live. We are here with you for our corner office chats. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great topic for you today, and we want to talk to you about the fear of commitment. And now, this is a topic that we can talk about in so many different areas of life, whether that's in our relationships, both personal and professional, whether that is risk taking in business, whether that is just making a change, right, in our lifestyle, in our health, in professionally. So let's dig into what a fear of commitment actually looks like. And because sometimes we may be saying things to ourselves, having certain thoughts, and we don't really class it as a fear of commitment, but it definitely is. And how can we then overcome this fear and start taking action? Because one of the biggest drawbacks or challenges or negative things about the fear of commitment is that it keeps us where we are. It keeps us playing small, and it stops us from taking the action that we need to grow, to develop, and to reach new levels in our life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With if we're not addressing this fear of commitment, then we're not addressing what's actually that big elephant in the room. That elephant in the room that's there, that's telling us like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do this?" You start to overanalyze, start to question yourself. If you find yourself doing that whenever you've set a goal or a commitment to do something, and all of a sudden you're in your head thinking about, "Oh, I can't do this. I don't have time. What if I this, or what if I that? What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out?" Whatever it is that you're asking those questions, then you need to stop the overanalyzing, really. You're not in the present. You're already so far in the future. You're creating your own anxiety and overwhelm around it, and it hasn't even occurred. So it's being really, excuse me, it's really being present that when your mind is starting to race on those things and has you stopped, that's what we call limiting beliefs, or that imposter syndrome, that I'm not capable of doing it, or it's not going to happen for me. That when you're over analyzing all that, then you get stopped, and then you don't move forward. And then 6 months, a year from now, or 5 years from now, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I once wanted to do that. I wish I had done that before. I wish I was there now."
Yeah, I think that's the toughest thing with, not taking that action, is that in the moment we think, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll start it after, after my birthday or after this thing happens. But then time goes by so quickly, and like you said, a year can go by, 2 years, and not that you are necessarily in a worse off place, but you're in the same place, right? You're in the exact same place when you were hoping for advancement, when you were hoping for growth, when you were hoping to take things to the next level, and you're not, right? And then not only have you not accomplished things that you want to accomplish, but now you're looking back being like, I thought I'd be way more ahead by now. I thought I'd be in this position by now. I thought I would have, started my family. I thought I would have done all of these things. And now 1, 2, 3 years have gone by and I'm in the same place. That's a heartbreaking place to be. But you have to be able to really get honest with yourself and say, did I do the things necessary to advance myself? Did I do the things I needed to do? Did I push myself out of the comfort zone into that growth zone? Right? Where does the responsibility fall on me? And then recognizing that, now what can you do to move forward? Because fear of commitment sometimes looks different, right? Maureen mentioned the over analyzing, looking at all the different options or every possibility under the stars before you make a decision, or asking yourself those, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this doesn't happen? And you sit there in indecision. They just constantly wonder, is this the right time? Is this the right time to do this? And it's not so much really that you're thinking about the timing of this event or the action that you need to take. It's like a procrastination. It's a barrier, preventing you from moving, because let's be serious. The big decisions we have to make, we are rarely ready for them. Who's ready to have kids? Like, really, when it came down to it, you may thought, I remember being 9 months pregnant, being like, I got this, I'm ready for this is no problem. The second it started getting really real, I was like, I am not ready. I I want to refund this. I am not ready to go through with labor, with new board. No, right? Rarely are we really truly ready in life until we're doing it, until we show up and start doing all the things we have to do. Then we realize, hey, you know what? I'm now ready for bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Baby number 2. So scary.
You forget.
But we did it. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, and some other things, Maureen, you want to mention some other ways where your commitment shows up?
Yeah, one of the other things is we want things instantly. We're in a world of where everything needs to be instant. Things are delivered to us right to our home. We are right here on our phones, right here on our phones, and we can quickly order whatever it is that we want to order. We can do all the things instantly. So we expect instant gratification. So notice that we forget that we need to honor the struggle. We really forget that we need to honor the struggle that we go through to get to what we want to achieve, whether it's a partnership, whether it's, a new level in your business, whether it's with your relationships, whether it's with your health, right? Their health, it's like, well, I just ran a mile. Why didn't I lose some weight? Right? It takes some time. And that's what we're talking about, is like really being realistic when you're making those commitments and that fear setting in and those limiting beliefs are coming in. Is nothing comes just easy. Sometimes it does. And then those are the blessings, right? But most of the time you need to make compounding, compounding steps to achieve your goals. That's just the reality of it. It's what we teach our children. Keep at it. Try again. Try again. Why do we build that in them? What I'm now seeing, even with my children, they're 17 and 14, that maybe we've been too instant with them. Okay, you need this. Well, okay, I'll get that. What is it that we need to do? We do this. So they have it that whatever they need should be available to them at any time, rather than, really, really working for it. Mm-hmm. So it actually worries me a little bit because of how instant things are, that what's going to happen for the next generation. How are they going to get lazier? Will they not understand that they have to work towards it? So just noticing that exists right now in this generation right now,
And even for us, I find too, even in the corporate world and business, we're always talking on a timeline. How quickly can we expect results? How fast can I see my ROI? And sometimes, sure, depending on the situation, that is an appropriate question. But sometimes it's setting you up to, not take that risk. That could, the ROI could be 10 times that of another decision, but we're not willing to take the time. We're not willing to commit. We're not willing to honor the struggle and see it through. And so we stop ourselves before we even begin. Yeah. Right. We see ourselves, we see this happening with entrepreneurs, with business owners, as they have to maybe make the shift from that brick and mortar store or other ways of doing business to going virtual this year. Right. Some businesses failed completely because they had that fear of doing something else, doing something new. Right. They had a fear of committing to, okay, now I have to use my website. Now I have to use social media to market my business. Now I have to do all these different things that I wasn't used to doing before, or because it's the only way now that you could reach that greater audience. But their fear of commitment and their fear of showing up stopped them. Right. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of businesses failed. I know there was other reasons. I'm not saying that was the reason for everybody, but I know in my own circle, some things failed just because they had that fear of commitment, of trying something new.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really true, right? Even in corporate, like you're going through a reorg, a lot of things are changing. There's a lot of fear around that. Should I jump ship and go to another company? What's going to be happening? It's okay. You can change your mind at any time, really. So we're going to go more into that later. The other thing is that really being, making sure that you know the necessity. What is that commitment? Being emotionally attached to the reason why you want this to happen. If you're not committed or attached to what it is, why you're accomplishing whatever that goal is, then you're less likely to achieve that goal. For example, many of us want try to lose weight. If we're not attached to the emotional effect of it, then 9 out of 10 times we end up failing, right? What is it that you're attached to when what is it that you're going to get from accomplishing the goal? Maybe you have more energy. Maybe you can do the things that you weren't able to do before. Maybe you'll feel better, more confidence, right? Maybe you've got all these emotions attached to that goal that you need to be present to every single day. So maybe you create a reminder for yourself. A lot of times we create these goals and we don't really have a why. If you don't have a why for it, then you're probably not going to follow through with your goal. One thing that's going to take you out, that, oh, it's not going to work, you're going to be out. It's done. So that's why it's really, really important that every single day you remind yourself why you're working towards this goal. What is it that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, and I can't remember if I shared this on a corner office chat or in this group or if it was on a different call, but the 7 layers of why, right? Like yeah. I heard this first from Simon Sinek. I'm not sure if it was his or if he adopted it from somewhere else, but it's that when you're coming, and he's big about like, what's your why, and letting your why, motivate you to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And the idea of the 7 layers of why is asking yourself why you want to do something 7 times. I'm going to rename this like the toddler approach because, why? Why? Because I said so. Why? Right? Asking yourself why 7 times. It is frustrating. I have, since I heard this, I heard it years ago, but then forgot and heard it again a few weeks ago. And I just did it to myself. I asked and I was getting annoyed with myself, but it got me to that real reason of why I want to do something. And that 7th layer of why was the real reason that I wanted to make that a goal, that I wanted to see that goal accomplished. And it was emotional. It was really emotional. And when I got there, it wasn't the first or second or third or even 6th thing that I had come up with. It was the 7th, and it was a much deeper commitment. It was a much deeper sort of emotional attachment, like you said, Maureen, to the goal itself. And I only would have got there if I kept pushing, because those first few layers are very shallow. Why do you want to, wasn't this that I was talking about with a client that was wanting to lose weight, and it got down to the level of she had lost a parent very young because of health concerns, and she has young kids, and so it was a very deep rooted reason why her health was so important to her, but she never actually broke down into that deeper layer. Yeah. So it caused her to yo-yo diet all the time, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, was really susceptible to stress, and her coping mechanism was binge eating. And, but when we got to that level, and she was like, I don't know why, I've never even thought about, she lost a parent very, very young. And she's like, I never even really made the attachment before. Of course, she knows the story, it's her story, but she never made the emotional attachment. And all of a sudden there was a whole new level of why taking care of her health now was so important to her. Right? She was around the same age when she lost her dad. So it was like, but she just it never sunk in. It never, and then she was committed at a whole new level. Right? So really that emotional attachment, I think, is really, really important to point out, that you are emotionally attached to the necessity, the need. Why is this need so strong? The necessity of this commitment. Yeah. So how do we overcome the fear of commitment now that we've identified it?
How do you overcome it? Very great question. How do you overcome it, right? Well, first of all, it's noticing, that the fear is there, and then noticing where is it actually coming from. 9 out of 10 times, I say this all the time, it's coming from a past. It's a past-based conversation that you've already made this belief that I'm either already not going to make it. You're so far ahead that it's going to look a certain way that you may not be aligned with. That's one of the things that's really, really has you in that fear. And we actually talk to our clients a lot about this, like how to overcome that. I was going to step back to the why. That's really, really important, because that'll help you also get past that fear when you build that necessity. So I did this whole exercise too. I think I've showed this to you before, like this. And why do we do what we're doing? Why is it so important? And It's because my why is that I know that people matter. You matter. If you don't think you matter, I am going to be your person that will tell you that you matter. And everything that you do or say or be matters to everyone. You have that impact in this world. And once you get really aligned that you matter, you start to step past that fear. It doesn't matter what other people say. When you are aligned to that you matter, you start to move forward. That you are good enough, you start to move forward. So it really starts really deep rooted is to working on your self-esteem and your self-purpose. When you start standing in that, you get really, really grounded and nothing else will matter. That's like the missing piece. It's shifting that mindset and really digging deep. Like, what is it that's really important to you? Why is it? And what has got you to where you are now? Now, how can you leverage that to take you to the next level? Right? Yesterday, we talked about new level, new devil, and that's a real thing. How many times have you like gotten a promotion and in a new thing started, fear started coming up, right? Or now you've got kids, so you've got new challenges that are coming up, or you move to a new city. Now you're like, oh my God, I don't know anybody here. What's going to happen? What if there's an emergency? Who do I contact? All these other fears start to show up. But really, these are things that they're outside of our control. So also notice what it is that you can control, what you can't control, and be very, very practical with yourself. Is it happening to me now? No. Okay. Well, if it is to happen to me, will I be able to figure it out? Yes, you will. You'll be able to figure it out because you guys are all powerful people. You're resourceful. You're able to figure things out. You've got to where you are now and you can go further. You just have to believe in that. When you start to believe in that, anything is possible. So kill that, that assassin, Alexis says, that's in your head. Kill that assassin, assassinate that assassin so that you can start moving forward and overcome the fear.
Yeah. And how you do that is just by facing it, as you just said, right? Facing it head on. Don't be afraid to unpack a little bit of that baggage that we all have as to what is it? What's that thought that's going on in the background that's stopping you from moving forward? I love it. I think this is something sometimes, depending on the situation, you simply have to just face that fear head on. Another way to overcome the fear of commitment is to understand your control in pivoting and the power of the pivot. Sometimes when we're faced with a decision, we look at it thinking like, this is the end all be all, life or death. If I make this decision, I have to move forward for the rest of my life. Even though that may not be what we say to ourselves, our brains get on that track. If I accept this job, I'm going to now be stuck in it for X amount of years, right? If I say yes, I can't change my mind. And in actual fact, there's very few situations where you can't change your mind.
Right.
Right? Like getting a tattoo. Well, actually, that used to be my example, but now you actually can laser off a tattoo. But I was like, you can't always change your mind once you get a tattoo. It kind of stuck on you for a bit. But there's very few, in all seriousness, there's very few situations you cannot change your mind and pivot out of. So, understanding that just because I commit to this now doesn't mean I can't shape what this commitment looks like. Doesn't mean that I can't negotiate what this commitment looks like, right? We work really closely with Vanessa McConkey, one of our good friends who's a career coach. And we talk about this all the time. It's not that, you're just looking for this job and you just accept whatever is offered to you. There's room for negotiation. And in most commitments, whether that's a relationship, a new relationship, it doesn't mean you have to go into that relationship and just accept whatever is in front of you. You can negotiate and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for in this relationship. Does that align with your goals? Yes, perfect. Let's go to the next step. Doesn't mean you have to get married, right? Doesn't mean that that's the next eventual step. Hey, let's spend more time with each other. Let's find out a little bit more. Hey, are our goals still aligned? Are our values and our vision still aligned? Cool, let's go to the next step. Sometimes we go to that very end step, but there's 10 of them that we could be taking, that we could be enjoying, that we could be learning and growing from. But we're so focused on, the biggest step of all, or the biggest commitment that's out there, we don't recognize how much power we have in shaping what that could look like.
Yeah.
So understanding that you have more control than you think, and that very few things are permanent, right? There's a lot of temporary out there that, like I said, could give you a great experience, could allow you to learn a valuable lesson that you need to learn before you're going to break through to that next level. to shape some of your experience. Maybe it shapes the path that you take from here on out,
Yeah.
or simply just to be entertaining, to bring you joy, to bring you some love and excitement and laughter in the moment, right? It may not be a permanent thing. So recognize the control that you have in that.
Yeah. And the next one is making sure that you have a community around you to support you, right? So making sure that you've got, whether it's mentors or even speaking to your family about it, or your family and your friends, and letting them know that this is what I'm up to. These are my fears. Can you support me on this?
Mm-hmm.
People love to help. People love to contribute. And if you ask, 9 out of 10 times, I'm saying 9 out of 10 times, like 10, a lot.
9 out of 10 times?
All the time. Let's say all the time. They will want to help you. People are generally, they want to feel needed, and they want to help. That's just something that's really innate in us, right? So if you understand that, then allow people to contribute to you and let them know what it is that you need. Even when we talk about with our clients, even with relationships, when we have expectations, have we spoken those expectations out, right? From our community, or if it's in a relationship or whatever it is, you have to set those, actually speak it out so people understand, they can align to it, or even negotiate it and say, well, I don't know if I can meet that, but I can do this and this. Okay, now you're clear. So there's nothing for you to really feel disappointed about. And you can also look at it as, when you have that community support, it actually lifts you. It actually makes you feel like, okay, they've got me. I can do this. And more than anything, you've got yourself. You can always change, and you can always turn to somebody and ask for some help. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make you weak. I know there's 2 of the clients who jumped on board with us, and they, one of them has said, I thought it would make me look weak that I'm seeking out help. I'm like, wow. If you think about that, like, you think that you have to figure it out all on your own. Mm-hmm. Our lives don't come with a manual. Why are there parenting books? Why are there all these books on, like, self-help books? Because people are wanting to figure it out. Our parents didn't have all the answers to tell us. I mean, we should forgive them for that. They did the best that they did the best that they could. And I'm doing the best that I can for my children. I may not give them everything that they need, but they're going to have to figure it out on their own. What they do know is that there is help out there. They do have community around them to help them, right? It doesn't, whether it's us, whether it's, the community that they hang around with, maybe a mentor, maybe a coach, maybe a team lead, well, whoever it is, they have resources if they just reach out and ask. And that's really, really important. If you don't have community that's supportive and that's really driving you in a negative way, then you may want to look at how you can change that around. And sometimes just by who you're being and creating those boundaries will naturally, retract all the ones that are negative and pull in all the ones that are positive. So you are responsible. Oh, that's the other thing. Being responsible. You are responsible of yourself and your actions. So holding integrity to that and knowing what it is that you want and building the structures around you to make you successful. Read about successful people. They will tell you what has worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. And based off of what would work specifically for them is there. So Alexis, we have a workshop that's coming up. The 5-day Limitless Leader. We talk about success without the sacrifice. And a lot of it is about work-life balance that works for you. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're talking about, because a lot of times we get stuck, or we're trying to do it all. We don't know how to ask for help. And this is a great segue for you guys if that's something that you've struggled with, consider joining our free 5-day workshop. It's on our website, goalsetcoach.com. At the very top says free workshop. You can go and register. It's coming up on March 15th. Go in there. Read about it. We're helping female leaders who are feeling overcommitted, who are feeling like they want to do all the things, but work-life balance doesn't even really exist, because now we've got kids, we're having to homeschool them. So, it's again, going back to the fear of commitment is that if we don't have the right structures in place, how are we going to be able to make the balance that works for us? How are we going to create the life that works for us, right? You're always going to be functioning out of alignment, trying new different things that aren't aligned to you. And you'll constantly be feeling like 3 years from now that I don't know what I'm doing. And the people who have really embraced, having community around them, making sure that they're supported, they're noticing and honoring the struggle that they go through, and they know that they can pivot at any time. They're the ones who are excelling and achieving their goals. That's the bottom line. They're the ones who are excelling and achieving their goals, and that can be you. It's up to you how you want to do it. So if that's something that interests you, join our 5-day workshop that's coming up. Go to our website. I'll drop the link in the comments. And we can help you walk through how you can create that balanced life and still be influential without making all these sacrifices you're having to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if this resonated with you, this whole conversation around fear of commitment, and you know yourself, you struggle with committing to things big and small, start small. Start committing yourself to little things that you're simply holding yourself accountable, for. Whether that is to join our workshop and say, hey, I'm going to commit myself for 1 hour a day for 5 days to be able to better myself, to maybe learn a little bit of myself, to be able to move forward and start achieving the things I want to achieve at a quicker rate, right? Investing in yourself. Maybe it's something as simple as committing to doing something for that one day, something personal for yourself. Start off small, make a commitment and honor it, and then work your way up to those larger commitments. You know yourself where you are struggling in this area, what it may be area of life, or maybe just sort of the size of the decision, and you find yourself in indecision all the time. Start committing and seeing those commitments through on a smaller scale and working your way up and adding the other factors that we talked about, whether that's just, simply facing the fear head on, understanding your control and the permanence and the lack sometimes of permanence of your commitments of the actual event, and simply gathering support around you in order to help support you in honoring those commitments yourself.
Yes, really great. All right, so that concludes our program today on Corner Office Chats. Thank you all for joining us, and check out our website, goalsetcoach.com. I dropped the link to the workshop. We've got a lot of resources there for you. And we will catch you same time, same place next week. Thanks, Alexis.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.